to everyone and welcome to the podcast Faith Talk with Jarousha. And the series that we're doing right now is Hearing from God, and welcome to the episode number 2. This episode is about hearing from God then and now, from the Old Testament to our lives, current life to our present. And for today, our guest is Tommy Zine. He's from USA, Texas, San Antonio, and I'd really appreciate if he would introduce himself.
Hi everybody, my name is Tommy Zion, and I live here in Texas. I've been a Christian for over 30 years, and I'm still serving the Lord, and I'm here to just to do His work. So, hi everybody.
Oh, thank you very much for introducing yourself. So, Tommy, as you have already heard that the episode number 2 that we are shooting for today is about hearing from God then and now, like from the Old Testament to our lives. So the very first question that I would like to ask to you is, when we read the Old Testament, we see God speaking in powerful ways, like through dreams, visions, or sometimes it can even be a whisper. So, which of these forms of communication fascinates you the most and why?
I am an artist, so an artist communicate through visual. We don't depend so much on audio. We depend on visuals. And to me, when God spoke to me, I get most excited, and I feel like I understand Him more clearly when He expressed Himself in the communication form of visual. So, like in the Old Testament, He speaks through open up the Red Sea. He speaks through Joshua when He helped Joshua bring down the Jericho. He speaks through David when He showed David how to take down Goliath. Those are all visual. So visual is really important in my life, and when He speaks to me in that terms, I tend to understand Him more, and I tend to get more motivated. So He used visual expression to communicate with me, to move me. So yes.
All right. So it's like basically, as you're an artist of visuals, that's something that fascinates you the most. So do you think that there is a reason God chose such different ways to speak to people back then?
I think that's just His character. He chose visual, and he does speak, like He speak to Moses. He speak to Moses directly, and He used sound. But it just that's who He is. He chose to use visual, and He chose to use sound. He created the earth, and He created the flowers. He created the trees, the animals. And if you look at those animals, very visual, very vivid colors.
Right.
He speaks through plants, flowers, and he's very a colorful God.
Wow. So, right. So, well, I'm having a question for you. Like, have you ever imagined what it would be like if God spoke to you in a dream or vision the way He did with the figures or the characters in the Old Testament, like Joseph or Daniel? So the figures that they're present in the Bible. If have you ever imagined what it would be like if God spoke to you in that way?
The book of Joel speaks of in the end time. He said, "Your young men will dream dreams. They will see visions," and I believe we are entering a time that He is speaking through us through dreams and vision, and to many of His people. In fact, there's been a report that people has seen heaven, and especially the young people. And there are some people that died that went to heaven and came back.
Wow.
and have met Jesus. So it's 10 years ago, people would think you're crazy when you speak, if you have that experience. Now, when you have that experience, it's normal. It is normal now. So it's not unusual that it's not uncommon that individual experiencing that now.
Yeah, I do really agree with you when you say that people die and go back to heaven, they see everything and come back. So that reminds me of an incident that happened in India maybe a few months back, that an airplane crashed and there was only one Christian, actually one passenger that survived, and that was a Christian, and he was dead, he was declared dead, and after some time he was he resurrected, he was alive, and he told everyone that, well, I went to heaven and I saw everything and I came back. So yes, I do agree with that. But why do you think the Bible emphasizes that God can speak both in dramatic ways, like through visions, and in very quiet and gentle ways, like whispers?
He is God, and he chose, we don't dictate how he communicates with us. He's the one that instigate, he's the one that dictate, and he's the one that chose the method that he used to speak to us. We don't get that choice. But in the Bible, God used donkeys, God used storms, God used rain, God used fish to speak to man. And so and we don't get to choose that. He chooses that. We just the only thing we do is we get the opportunity to choose our reaction when he speaks to us. Do we obey? Do we respond to him in a humble, positive way, or do we ignore it? Like most people. Do we rebel? Do we, are we? So we choose that. We choose our own reaction, how we respond to his voice, to his message, to his gospel.
So do you think that there might be some reason that the Bible emphasizes that God speaks to someone like in a very gentle way, or maybe to someone very boldly, in a very dramatic vision or clear audible voice, something?
Well, God is he's a very creative God. He is a diverse, and he has range. Mm-hmm. So he chooses between speaking to us through fire, lightning, flood, and then from that extreme to another extreme, which is very mild, very gentle, very loving, very subtle voices. So it's this wide range, and then he chooses anything in between. So he is diverse. He is an infinite God. He is unlimited. There is no limit what he can do. So and he expressed that, and I know with the Lord, he really, like how he expressed how he loved us so much that he sent his son Jesus Christ to die for us. And he chose it in such an extreme way. So there's no way when we die, when we go to heaven, we can't have excuses. So and I believe he went that direction. Now this is just me, that because when we see him, when we meet him, when we stand in front of him, just us, we will have absolutely no excuse.
Right. So I really like how you described everything and how you explained everything. So the next question, which is actually applicable to our audience, to our viewers too, if God were to speak to someone today in a dream or a whisper, how should they respond? Like, if God is going to speak to anyone, there might be a message that God wants to share to the audience, to the viewers. How do you think that they should respond to it?
With me, when God speaks to me, when I was not as mature Christians, I did not take the time to be more careful how I respond. So sometimes I get really excited, sometimes I get really fearful, and I react to that. But now I learn to process what He's trying to tell me. I learn to process with wisdom, and with that is number one, I have to make sure that it is God, because Satan also speaks to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just me, it's just me speaking to myself. So every time I get information, I have to really ask the Holy Spirit, like the Holy Spirit, is like, God, is this really you? And if it's so, can you give me a confirmation that it is you? And if it is you, can you give me the wisdom to, what would you like me to do with this information? Why are you telling me this?
Right.
And what would you like me to do with this information? I have received information from God, and I told my wife, and my wife literally told me, Tommy, something like that, you do not want to tell anybody. My wife actually told me that, and for a long time, she used to get so, when she gets up in the morning, she go, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
She would just freak out, But now when she saw that these information that I'm told her, it actually come to pass, and now when she gets up in the morning, she's more prepared.
Right.
And before she was just very, she get frustrated, she get irritated, she gets mad when I tell her that. And at the time, my wife would be the first person I tell to.
Right.
And I learned that sometimes your wife is not the first one you tell to, and but now she's more mature now as well. And now when I have something to tell her, I go, honey, do you have a few minutes? I have something to tell you, and it's very important, and it only take 2 minutes. Then she would just put whatever she is doing, she would put it down. She would shut off the TV, and she would receive what I have to tell her. Yeah. So
everything that is said, I want to add a little bit that before you said that sometimes, Satan is also trying to communicate to us. Sometimes it's not God, but Satan itself. So it reminds me of an incident that just took place. Let me tell you all about it. There was a person who had a visitation, and he felt like that was an angel from God, and that whatever the visitation was, he had a vision, he had a dream. He saw that an angel is coming to him and is telling him that Jesus is going to return this date, this year, this time. So how can we understand that if it's from God or if it's someone else, it's our own thoughts or it's actually from God? See, we're having the Bible here, so when we read the Bible clearly tells us that nobody, not even the angel, knows what time that Jesus is returning. So the people, that person, that man came to know that no, that was not from God, but in fact that was a demonic visitation. So he really escaped the deception. He rejected that this is wrong and this was not from God. So we really need to read the Bible thoroughly and understand and ask God for wisdom and understanding the messages that are hidden in the Bible. So the next question that I'm having for you is that what can modern believers learn from the Old Testament examples of how people responded when God spoke to them?
Before I answer that question, I like to backtrack a little bit. Yes, you have to know the Bible completely. You have to know, to know your God, you have to know the Bible. And because he expressed himself through the Bible. Most of the time, he speaks to us through the Bible. In fact,
Right.
in my Christian walk, 99% of the time, he speaks to me through the Bible. So when you get that vision, when you get that message, because God will not contradict himself. He will never tell you to go and kill somebody.
Yeah.
He will never tell you the date and time of the second coming of Christ, when the Bible specifically said nobody knows. So those are the things that is not from God. So he does give you a good idea if it's from him or not. So, and to answer that question, and your question was,
what can the modern believers learn from the Old Testament examples of how people responded when God spoke?
Well, like the book of Jonah, Jonah clearly understood exactly what God told him to do, and he refused, and he ended up getting thrown out of the ship,
right.
and end up in a fish belly to fish, and I'm sure it was the most uncomfortable 3 days he ever experienced in his whole life. Yeah, so if you don't listen to God, you will be prepared to experience the most uncomfortable, the most painful, time ahead.
We can also say that when we are not responding and listening to him correctly, it means that we're going towards disobedience, right? And when we're going towards disobedience, it means that we're departing God from ourselves. And when we're departing God from ourselves, it means that we're departing eternity, we're departing heaven from ourselves, right? So we can also say it in that way. All right. So.
Yes, and there is another example in the book of Esther. She was told that if you do not listen to God, then salvation will come to God's people from somebody else. That means you will lose, and that means she would lose a huge opportunity to be a queen. So those are the kind, and she listened to God, and she became a queen. So, and if she did not listen to God, she would have been a peasant. She would have been nothing. So yes, it's very important to listen to God.
Right. Yeah.
Extremely important. Yes. Your life can be drastically changed if you listen to him.
Yes, of course, he's always having the best for us. That's why when he's telling to us to do that, we have to do that, right? So, do you believe that God's ways of speaking in the Old Testament still carry lessons for how we expect to hear him today?
Absolutely. He still speaks to his children. In fact, the New Testament says, "My sheep knows my voice."
Right.
That means if we belong to him, if we walk with him, if we spend time with him, and you will increase the chance of hearing from God more the closer you are to him, and you will know it is from him. Absolutely. And to this day.
Right, okay. So, the very last question and ending question for today is that if we could encourage our listeners, viewers, our audience with one key takeaway about God's voice in dreams, visions, or whispers, what would it be?
For me, I have to hear from God every day directly, because the calling that I have is so hard, is so difficult. I mean, making a film is not easy. Having your own business is not easy. Having a multiple business is not easy.
Yes.
And dealing with people is not easy, from all culture, all walk of life. So so I have to hear from him. It is like, to me, it's a lifeblood. In fact, today I have to sign a contract that I do not want. I mean, I want to sign the contract, but there are some stipulation in the contract that I do not want in the contract, but I cannot afford to lose that contract. So I have to seek him. I have to ask him. I have to go, God, show me what I need to do, and every day, because if you walk with God, there is no playbook. There is no specific daily instruction, that you get.
Yes.
You don't get a memo every morning to tell you what you need to do. So you depend on hearing from God. You depend on His grace, His goodness, His kindness, His like gentleness, His mercy. You depend on Him. But He promised that He will take care of you. He promised that He will guide you. He would promise that He will correct you. He promised that He would encourage you. And He promised that what He is telling you is for your own good. And He promised to build you up. He promised to make you strong. He promised to make you strong where you can bless others. And so those are, and He promised to make you mature. So those are His promises, and that's what I depend on. So I have to hear from God every day, and sometimes if I don't hear from Him, I get frustrated, and sometimes I panic. And so I have to hear from God, because right now the world is going into chaos. It is. We live in a world that is more dangerous every day is getting more and more dangerous, more and more evil, more and more deception. Deception is epidemic. Deception is rampant, especially AI. I mean, there's somebody out there right now can produce exactly the same thing as we are doing with AI. So those are the things that, and life will get tougher and tougher as we if we move forward. And those who have a relationship with God, those who have strong relationship with God, and those who are, I believe, is going to be in the best place, in the safest place. Those who do not know God, those who ignore God, do not know God, are not born again. Those are the ones that are in danger, because because there's grace, but at the same time, I know that if I don't hear from God, I would never be at a place where I am now.
Yes. So basically, hearing from God, especially in the time, in the age that we are living right now, is very important.
Yes, it's the Bible specifically said at the end time, the biggest problem that man will face is not starving, is not money, is not crime, is not sickness. The biggest problem man will face at the end time is deception.
Right, deception. And so from escaping from deception, we need the Bible, we need to understand the Word, and we need to hear from God. So that was for today.
Directly.
Yes. Yeah. Hearing from God directly. Thank you for adding that, Tommy. So thank you very much, Tommy, for your time. And that was really honor for us, for you coming here and giving us your time. And so this was for today's episode number 2, hearing from God then and now, from Old Testaments to our life. For the very next episode, everyone stay tuned. Till that, God bless you and stay safe. This podcast is a project of the Shepherd Ministries from Pakistan, which is having other ministry work too, like Sunday School Ministry. You can check all the activities online, and we would really appreciate if you'd love to support us or contribute with some token of love. We would really appreciate it. Or if you want to become a partner or participate in this podcast, we'd love to see it. You can contact us.